Hello everyone, this is Genese, January 14th, 2010. I felt the need to talk about a very important subject, spiritual beliefs. But before I get into this, I just want to advise you not to believe. You can't afford to believe whatever I'm going to say in this presentation. The reason for that is that if you do believe what I say, you would subject your mind to an authority other than your own. So remain critical, but just keep an open mind. Many influences have shaped human history. We only need to look at all the different religions that were created, which for centuries helped to calm the violent nature of men, and at the same time served as a tool to better control and dominate its followers. The principle of love that the man of Nazareth brought on this planet was only understood by a select few, namely his disciples. This principle of love was the necessary link to allow the reconnection of mankind to a form of divinity, but through an outside source. This source resides in the higher spheres of the astral world, where the high spiritual authorities are maintaining total domination of the unconscious ego through the phenomena of beliefs. Beliefs secure the ego, and this process is perfectly natural for souls evolving in the physical realm, for it reduces the fears towards the great existential questions regarding infinity as well as the game of life. The ego is then inclined to search for answers through one form of spirituality or another. And this conditioning is part of the soul's experience here on earth. Any spiritual belief denies the possibility for humans to really know themselves, and also prevents access to their true cosmic identity. They are forced to live their lives under the umbrella of personality because of the many influences stemming from the memory of the human race, as well as from their own astrological programming, or if you prefer, the life plan they agreed upon before incarnating in this physical world. Therefore, humans base their entire experience on this memory. In other words, they base their entire experience on the past instead of living in the present of their consciousness. Believing denotes a lack of intelligence in the physical experience, meaning the lack of light that reaches the lower mental body because of the astral interference present within the mind. If an ego were to know instantly the extent of the interference and manipulation without proper preparation in life, he would go totally insane and lose his spirit. The phenomenon of belief is the cornerstone of the experimental consciousness. As long as humans will be unable to eradicate all forms of domination within their own minds, they'll live their lives according to the soul's memory. In other words, they'll remain in a state of karma. Spiritual beliefs are good for humans who feel the need for them, for they are part of the normal learning process in the physical experience. But this process is only one step in the evolution of the soul. Some of the Oriental forms of spirituality are good for mankind, but they advocate a higher authority above the consciousness of man, meaning a divinity from an outside source. When man will finally realize that spirituality is only one step in the physical experience, and that in fact he is multidimensional, he will then see and understand life in a very different way. As he grows in his own level of consciousness, he will, on an individual basis, let go of the need to believe in any form of spirituality or ideology. Spiritual beliefs will stay for a while longer, but eventually they'll disappear in the upcoming times in order to make room for a new science, the science of intelligence. This science will have no room for any kind of spiritual beliefs from the human experience that has kept mankind in ignorance of the universal and cosmic laws of life. The act of believing is the manifestation of the ego's insecurity towards spirituality, philosophy, or any other form of ideology. Evolution changes perception of life. But perception is only an interpretation of one form or another through intellectual means. Interpretation requires reflection, and the act of reflecting prevents inner knowing. In other words, access to the universal and cosmic knowledge. The memory of the human race is an obstacle to the real intelligence of man. When humans will finally have access to this universal and cosmic knowledge, they won't need to rely on the old knowledge of humanity. Psychological knowledge will transmute to instant knowledge, depending on the level of consciousness that is present. The higher the level of consciousness, the less they'll need to rely on the memory of the human race. Mankind will eventually discover all the aspects of the science of energy and will dominate matter on all levels. The science is the cornerstone of the new race that has already started to emerge on this planet. And this new race has already started the process of setting themselves free from any kind of manipulation, either from visible or invisible realms of reality. If all humans would be in their own intelligence, poverty, wars, injustice, greed, power, over-consuming, and domination from any form of government would become impossible. Mankind will witness an almost total destruction of humanity as we know it today, in order to leave room for higher conscious and vibrational levels. And this will allow the new civilization that is emerging to repair the mistakes of the past. Any change of civilization requires great shocks. These shocks are necessary and will allow the cleansing of the planetary karma. The accumulation of negative memory is the source of this karma. This is why the cleansing is necessary in order to leave room for a very different evolution process. So, I think this is about it. This is my first presentation. There will be more, and until then, Have a great day.